Well, hey everybody, John Rethlin here, and this is a real honest rant about the McMahon family plaguing WWE TV. Yes, it's going to be current, but it's also going to be looking back at the history to exactly when the McMahon family being on TV so much just jumped the shark. The overexposure caused them to, cause a lot of fans to basically be turned off by the whole damn thing. Now, there's a lot of debates on when this actually, occurred. Some people would say 99, even though Austin versus Vince was still a hot angle. Some could take 2000, 2001, the whole thing with the invasion, Stephanie and Shane being involved in the invasion. That was a terrible idea. I mean, holy fuck. No wonder the invasion failed. Well, it failed for a lot of reasons, but that's another video for another day. With this, I also want to emphasize I'm a wrestling fan. I don't have journalistic credentials. I never claim to. I don't have wrestling insider sources. I've never claimed to. I just observe and I watch. And I have a whole lot of fun watching. The problem is, especially like with Shane currently, feuding with people and everything and being in high-profile feuds when he has no business being there. Stephanie being on TV, even though she hasn't been on for a while, being on TV when she shouldn't be anymore. She should just be a backstage authority figure, doing whatever and ruining creative. And then Triple H, I don't even really want to see on WWE TV that much anymore. And Vince looks like he has dementia, and I'm not knocking people with dementia. Vince looks lost. He really looks and acts lost. Now, yes, he is in his mid-70s, but still, he legit looks like there's something wrong with him, and hopefully there's not, because that's pretty fucking bad. Now, there's going to be some rants here in this, or maybe some times where I raise my voice a little bit and get a little bit angry, but I'm going to try to not take it to the extreme like I did with Extreme Rules, because, wow, I got angry during that and gave myself a headache, so I'm going to try to tamp that down. A lot of this and the history of it is going to come from a brief chat I had with a friend of mine, Bobby, on Facebook. He's also a wrestling fan. He ran something by me. He said, hey, and this is actually the inspiration for this, so thank you, Bobby, for the inspiration for this video. But he said, I think I figured out when the McMahon family exposure on TV jumped the shark, and fans were sick of them. And I said, go ahead. He said his patient zero was 2003. Where Vince McMahon was all over TV for pretty much the entire year. I actually think, now that I think about it, I don't think there were too many shows he wasn't on in some kind of either backstage segment or even in the ring, even if he wasn't actually wrestling, just something, where he was plaguing TV. Because you go to all stuff, you go to like the feud with Hogan, screwing over Hogan at No Way Out 2003 with Sylvain Grenier as a ref, and then you had Hogan versus Vince at WrestleMania 19, a match that was much better than it had any right to be. Then you go to the Mr. America feud where Hogan was under the mask, and you had Hogan versus Piper, which is terrible. It was frightening. It was frighteningly bad. Good God. And then Hogan got released because of whatever, and that didn't go anywhere. No one really cared. I sure as fuck didn't miss Hogan by that point. But then the Zach Gowen stuff, where Vince got his head freaking opened up when the lip of the chair, did that and everything. That was pretty fucking brutal. And then he gets involved with Sables, making Sables personal assistant. That makes Stephanie jealous. Stephanie, who's supposed to be the GM of SmackDown. And whatever, all that stuff. And there's more going to this besides Vince and Stephanie, don't worry. But with that, you're looking at, Stephanie being upset at her dad. How can you do this with Sable? Sable tried to Sable tried to sue the company, but also Sable's just conniving and trying to use you and everything, like Sable always did with guys, because it's the only way she could get ahead. She had no real goddamn talent. She was a freaking whore. What she was. I'm not saying she deserved to get sexually harassed. I'm not saying she did. Not at all. No person, woman, man, anybody in the LGBTQ community, you don't deserve to be sexually harassed at your place of employment, or in general. But Sable, as far as being an on-screen character, especially in 2003, was a goddamn joke. Sure, her and Brock are happy, whatever. But that led to Stephanie versus Sable in a match that did not need to fucking happen. In a feud that didn't even need to happen. It was fucking rotten, is what it was. It was fucking stupid. When Stephanie, who's not a trained wrestler and never was, is the one having to carry a match because Sable had no talent in the ring, no athletic ability at all, that's not good. And then that transitioned to, eventually the father-daughter I Quit match that was, again, 6 days before the weigh-in of Stephanie and Triple H. Linda was there and looking confused as ever. One eye on the ring, one eye on the fans. Yeah, that's a bit of a lazy eye joke. I don't really care because I don't really care for Linda, and I have my reasons. You probably can figure out why, but the father-daughter I Quit match thing was just more McMahon TV overexposure and went on way too long. I mean, I don't even think it was a long match. It just felt like it went on forever. And then Vince was in the Buried Alive match with Undertaker. Undertaker was upset because Vince had interfered in a match later that night. The biker chain match and everything, when the biker chain was on a pole. Swerve, bro. Russo wasn't there, thank God. But Vince did that, and then Undertaker was like, okay, I'm going to face you in a Buried Alive match. And then Kane comes out, buries Undertaker, and then that leads to Kane versus Undertaker and that kind of stuff. But Vince, even though he's bleeding and everything, and around all that dirt might not have been the best idea, he was still on TV after that. And it was just ridiculous. It was just bad. 2003 was not a very good year. But unfortunately, that's not the end of the involvement of the, McMahons on TV. So then you had Shane McMahon return to WWE TV. He faced off against Eric Bischoff at SummerSlam 2003 in a match that really shouldn't have taken place. About 2 years too late, let's be honest. It just, no. I mean, granted, Bischoff didn't come to WWE until July 15th, 2002. I had to think about that one for a second. I did a review of that and actually enjoyed Eric Bischoff being an on-screen character again. I always liked him as an on-screen character. Creative genius? Probably not. But another story for another day. So, Shane faces off against Bischoff, was what it was, and then he starts transitioning into a feud with Kane. Kane, who had been unmasked a couple months before, goes on a rampage, destroys RVD's former tag team partners, goes on a rampage, tombstones Linda safely, by the way, because Kane is a very safe worker. They used the wrong camera shot where Linda's face was about eight football fields worth of length away from the ramp. I mean, which is good because, again, I think Kane probably would have been fired and probably criminally charged if he had injured Linda. But that was what it was, and that brought out Shane, and then they did the battery cable thing jumper cables to Shane's balls, which is actually something that Kane did, shocked him and everything, shocked him. That was something that actually happened on TV. Shane, later, later in the feud, trapped Kane in a limo, and then ran the limo, ran the runaway limo into a trailer that just happened to be there. Whatever. So then we're at Unforgiven 2003. Kane and Shane are there, and it's Falls Count Anywhere match, that kind of stuff. Shane drops off something high, he misses, Kane wins. And then you also had the flaming dumpster thing where Shane actually knocked Kane into a flaming dumpster. There was obviously something different, but still, it obviously some way to protect Kane and everything, but it looked cool, shot correctly. But then you had the ambulance match, and this is on the same show where Vince was in a Buried Alive match against the Undertaker, and then Shane's facing Kane. So you got the Brothers of Destruction separated, facing off against the McMahon family. It is literally like the Attitude Era never left, and we were about a year and a half into the Ruthless Aggression Era. So anyway, Shane and Kane in an ambulance match that went on way too long. Shane should not have looked like Kane's equal. Kane should have smashed him. I know he was doing it for his mother, but it didn't do anything for Kane. Sure, Kane did what he did and all this stuff, but it was bad TV. It was not good. It was a better match than I expected, but it still wasn't all that good. And after that, all that 2003, the McMahons were all over TV. Now, granted, you could say that the networks were the ones that wanted the McMahons all over TV, especially USA. Well, no, they were on Spike actually at that point. So the TV executives on Spike, and I want to say they were on UPN for SmackDown at this point, were the ones that wanted the McMahons all over TV. Okay, granted. But still, it really crippled a lot. I don't really see how anybody really got over. Sure, Kane beat Shane. And a guy he should have been able to whip his ass in 5 minutes. Because Shane may be a bit of an athlete. I mean, he certainly trains hard. I give him credit for still jumping off high shit and taking these bumps, even though he's almost 50. He shouldn't be doing this. Shane, you have kids. What the fuck? But after talking to Bobby about that, I have to agree. The 2003 was finally when people got sick of it. Completely sick of it. And you can go back to 97 when the Vince Austin feud started. And then 98, that all was going on. Shane was introduced on TV later in 98. Well, as McMahon's son, even though he had appeared sporadically as like a referee in earlier incarnations on pay-per-view and that kind of stuff, especially in the late 80s, early 90s. But Stephanie then got introduced. She got brought on TV, especially in like later 98, I think especially early 99. And the McMahons were taking over TV and everything. The problem is nothing has really changed in 20 years. And that history, yeah, you go 99 where Vince, Shane, they were aligned and they were separated. And then Vince just did the higher power thing to screw over Austin, but endanger his daughter. And then they're all of a sudden back together, or even though they're a McMahon every corner at WrestleMania 2000. I'm skipping ahead around a whole lot of this stuff. Then Vince aligns with Shane again, and the whole thing goes and then they're together, and then the separation. The Stephanie and Triple H are, all over TV. Stephanie was the women's champion at one point. That was an embarrassment to the women's title. Not as embarrassing as Sable, because at least they booked the whole thing with Stephanie better. Treating her not like a wrestler, not like a threat that she needed all the goddamn help in the world. That's how you book a heel champion that can't fucking work. But anyway, if you try to make it seem like somebody's equal when the other person is clearly better, that's not how you do it. But in 2000, you keep going to the whole thing with the McMahons. You go to WrestleMania 17 with Vince versus Shane, Linda in the corner, Linda rising up and getting one of the biggest pops of the night, which was cool. That was pretty cool. But you had Stephanie and Trish, the McMahon family schmoz. The match was 100% better and had any right to be. But you could argue even then that the McMahon family the people may have gotten sick of the McMahon family. That would be my arguable point. That was about the peak. And then Vince aligned with Stone Cold later in the night, and two-man power trip with Austin, Triple H, and more stuff. The invasion angle, which went absolutely nowhere. Just put the McMahons all over TV. Did nothing for the WCW guys that may have taken less money to come and work, and it just didn't serve a purpose at all. And the McMahons are still over TV. They were over TV into the Royal Rumble. I mean, Shane and Stephanie not as much. They were, fired after Survivor Series 2001, and then went away from TV for a while. Then Stephanie was brought back in a managerial role, GM role, and I think Shane was away for a while. I know he made some appearances, but he was away for a while. And then you had, even in 2001, you had Shane beating Big Show at, Backlash 2001. Wait, the 2001? Might have been. I think it might have been. It was 2000. No, 2000 was when he faced Kurt Angle. They had Shane all over TV, and it's pretty fucking ridiculous. And you had Test and Shane teaming up after Test and Shane had been feuding about a year and a half before, but whatever. So many feuds are all over the place. I get it that people change allegiances and whatever. It just got ridiculous. But I would actually almost say 2001 was when people started to get sick. Now, that being said, when Bobby brought up that point about 2003, because 2002 was here and there. Vince was on TV occasionally, but not that much. Shane, not so much. Actually might not have been on TV much at all in 2002. But Stephanie was on there and, whatever. But then by 2003, people had gotten enough of a break from a lot of the McMahons. Because Stephanie was kind of an unbiased GM, even though she was more of a babyface. And then 2003 really was the point, the tipping point. 2004, things got out of, things were all that, and you had the Eugene thing with Bischoff, and I know that's not McMahon stuff, but that was pretty ridiculous. You had a whole lot of good talent that ended up eventually starting to get buried as years went on. I mean, even though a lot of the talents were still over, you then go to 2005. Vince tears both his quads when he gets into the ring at the Royal Rumble when Batista and Cena did the completely unplanned double finish that looked perfect. That looked fucking perfect. It was absolutely incredible. I can't believe that wasn't planned, because you would think it was. But Batista lost his footing. Happens to everybody. Lost his footing to WrestleMania 35. Batista's still a great guy. For how late he got started in wrestling, he did pretty goddamn well for himself. He's doing great in Hollywood. But then as things went on, you had, especially 2006, you had the Shane Vince feud with DX that went on forever. And it was bad. It was really fucking bad. And then other stuff, 2007, the Hornswoggle thing, so many other things. I could go through every single bit of history if I really, really wanted to. Vince tried to play babyface and the whole thing with Orton. Orton punted his head off, and then Orton hit Stephanie with a DDT and built up a feud with Triple H, and it became, the McMahons and versus Orton, especially in subsequent months. That was a goddamn great idea. Shane feuded with Orton before and after Mania, and it got to where everything, we were sick of it. It really got, maybe 2001, but especially 2003, it got to where even when the McMahons would make sporadic appearances, yeah, people might pop initially, but it wasn't the same. And there are people that are still, chant along, no chance in hell, it's fine, dumb fucks, whatever, kidding. If you guys still pop for Vince, that's okay. Everybody still pops for The Undertaker's dong, and yes, I will continue that joke, because as the Derp would say, if he was rock climbing, he would have me hold the rope because I never let anything go. And he's right. But with this whole thing, the McMahons, and I'm going to skip ahead on this stuff, but a lot of times when they would appear, it just got so stale and everything. And then 2013 with the whole authority thing. Good God, Stephanie, Triple H, and that, whatever. Even when Vince would appear, it just was so stale. It was bad TV. It was not good shit. It was just shit. And then even when the authority went away, they would come right back, and then it just got so bad. The TV product for a good while was really good, or really not good. And I'm not even saying that currently the TV product is that good, but they have such a goddamn loaded roster. It's not like they were just living off scraps in 2013, 2014, 2015, but NXT was in its formative years in 2014, 15, and you say NXT's jumped the shark. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. But still, the talents are trying. They're doing pretty well. WWE just has too many people. But now we skip ahead to the whole thing when Shane returned in 2016. And did the whole lockbox thing with Vince. And it went absolutely nowhere. Oh, I have a secret about you. I have a lockbox. And they dropped it. They fucking dropped it. And then Shane had to face Undertaker in, a Hell in a Cell. And if Shane won, he would gain control of Raw. This all happened in the span of about a 20-minute promo. Now, the crowd did pop for Shane. I popped for Shane because we hadn't seen Shane on WWE TV for almost 7 years. Now, he left the company at the beginning of 2010 to do his own stuff and whatever. Now, I did pop for Shane returning and figured sporadic appearances would work. And then he had a 30-minute match with The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell. Undertaker, who's beaten some of the best in Hell in a Cell and beaten some of the worst, He should have squashed Shane within 10 minutes. It should have been 10, maybe 15 minutes. Because Shane would have been doing it to, gain control of the company and whatever. But then Shane lost. Shane got a pop from the crowd. And Vince said, fuck it, run Raw anyway. And then you had Stephanie and Shane in a freaking pissing contest, which was bad TV. And then you get, and now this is where I'm getting a little angry about, because we are so many years removed from the invasion thing, and even 2003, that by even 2016, even later 2016, I was sick of Shane. But I was like, okay, whatever. Get Stephanie on TV. Don't put so much focus on Shane. You're okay. And then Shane was part of the SmackDown Live team at Survivor Series, almost like Extreme Rules. That went nowhere. And then that went absolutely nowhere. You had something with Braun and Triple H at Survivor Series that went absolutely nowhere. That was pretty goddamn shit. I don't know. I fucking hated that, honestly. But in fact, actually, I think that might have been 2017. I don't exactly remember. I think it was 2017 actually, because some of the years blend together for me. The whole point is of this. With the McMahon family TV overexposure, you go to 2017, and you got Shane still in feuds. He's in feuds with friggin' Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and yeah, Sami Zayn turned heel, and Shane jumped off of something high at Hell in a Cell, but then he was part of the SmackDown Live, team just a month later. Not even selling that. Shane McMahon, the toughest wrestler on the WWE roster, and then he's teaming with Daniel Bryan in Bryan's comeback match at WrestleMania 34. And great to see Daniel Bryan back. Interested to see where this whole new character thing goes. Where he doesn't say anything. Apparently he's a monk. Or he's crazy. I don't fucking know. But then Shane is still on TV over and over and over. He gets rid of Page as GM after they got rid of Corbin as GM or the acting general manager or the constable or whatever it was. And then in 2018, December 2018, McMahon family get out there, Triple H, Stephanie, Vince, Shane. You're the authority. We've done a terrible job. You're the authority. The fans are the authority. Bullshit. Bullshit. And there were people who said, oh, give it a chance, give it a chance. They were telling me, give it a chance. And then a couple months later, they were like, hey, John, you were right. It wasn't about being right. I wanted to believe it. But I've seen so much of this shit over and over, over and over, over and over, that I didn't believe it. And it turns out I was right. I didn't want to be. I wanted to be proven wrong. I like to be proven wrong with my cynicism. I don't like being cynical because I want WWE to succeed. The problem is besides financially, they are not succeeding creatively. Any good things that they come up with, they drive into the ground. And then you go to Shane McMahon's heel turn. I had no issue with him teaming up with The Miz because I wanted to see Shane go heel. And then I wanted to see Shane get his ass kicked in feuds, but still keep his heat. Because Shane would have been capable of doing that. So this is where I'm getting to the whole crux of the thing. And then, I'll finish up like about how you could get some stuff, fix some stuff and everything. The whole thing with Miz could have worked if Miz had lost at WrestleMania but won Money in the Bank and then you left a match down the road. Maybe do a match on TV where Miz overcomes the odds and beats Shane and everything, and you do that, but Shane still keeps his heat by having some thugs. Fine. They didn't do that, though. Miz's babyface run is essentially dead. He's feuding with Dolph Ziggler. That when they had a great feud, 2016, 3 fucking years ago, that's what we're going back to. That's what you're doing with Miz's babyface run. Miz's babyface run, essentially, even though he's getting reactions, already had the legs cut out from under him. You can't have a babyface lose so many goddamn matches. The whole thing is they made the Shane feud seem, good, legit, all that stuff and everything. You had Miz's dad, that kind of stuff. That was pretty funny. But again, if Shane had won at Mania, Miz won at Money in the Bank, and that kind of stuff, okay. But they've had Shane so dominant all over TV. The wild card rule has done nothing for anybody. It has done nothing. And sorry, if you like the wild card rule, I just don't fucking get it because you can't tell me it's a good idea. Make the brand split completely separate and just do that. They have enough people on every one of the rosters, including NXT UK even. Even though I haven't watched it in a few months and probably should binge watch that at some point, at least with parts I like, and catch up on that. They got too many brands, they got too many wrestlers and this kind of stuff, but yet they have to give more time for Shane McMahon. Making him the top heel when you have Drew McIntyre, you have so many others. You have Elias, who may not be the best in the ring, but could be a top heel. You have so many others. They could do what? Andrade. Andrade's being featured in matches that are either squashes where he beats up somebody in 2 minutes or gets beat by Apollo Crews in 2 minutes. It just feels like such, haphazard booking, throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. It's not good. And then Roman Reigns, who has beaten Drew McIntyre, beat him at Mania, he beat him, I believe, at Money in the Bank. Beat him Money in the Bank. Beat somebody Money in the Bank. The bottom line is he's beaten Drew McIntyre multiple times, and it just didn't work. So sometimes on these pay-per-views mixed together, he beat him at Stomping Grounds. He beat Drew, which of course is where we kick ass and take names. But Shane McMahon beat Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia. That right there is a problem. Now I don't care. Drew interfered. Okay, this kind of stuff. Still, Shane McMahon can beat Roman even with help. Drew can't on his own. When Drew is a fucking badass and should be booked like a badass. Now we get to the current thing with Shane McMahon feuding with Kevin Owens. This is how it needs to end. It might be a video I do at some point. I might actually, just go more into it. But basically, this is what needs to happen at SummerSlam. You want to get a thing where you guys aligned with Shane and everything. You want to get this whole big brawl going. You have people not necessarily aligned with Kevin Owens, but a common interest. They want to get rid of Shane. This needs to end in 5 to 7 minutes. And Shane needs to take multiple power bombs into the apron. Needs to take a lot of stunners. And you can make it no DQ. You can make it whatever the hell you want. Owens needs to lay Shane out. And in a kayfabe way, because I don't want to scratch on Shane. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I want Shane stretchered out permanently from WWE TV. Oh, it doesn't need to be permanent. Somebody said, and Kier, I'm not knocking you, man. If you happen to be watching this, I'm not. But we had a tweet exchange, and, you know, I always have good chats with him, even if we don't agree. He's a good guy. But he said maybe a month or two. Kier, I love you, but taking Shane off of TV for just a month or two ain't going to fix the problem. I'm not saying that you're wrong to have that opinion, but it's going to put a Band-Aid on an axe wound. Shane McMahon needs to be off TV, and this is not directed necessarily at you. Shane McMahon needs to be off TV until his Hall of Fame induction comes up. Whenever that is. And he'll get in the Hall of Fame. He should. He should. Even as much as I've shit on Shane McMahon, he should come up with all... He should get a Hall of Fame induction. Should he get it before other people? I mean, that's arguable. But with Shane, it has lent so little to everybody else. Drew doesn't feel like a big deal. Elias doesn't feel like a big deal. The Revival Dome is trying to recreate something that happened organically. The Vince and Austin thing. Shane and Owens is no Vince and Austin. And that's nothing against Owens. That's not even anything against Shane. You can't try to recreate something. Yes, Owens is getting big pops from the crowd. But this has to end with Owens dominating and destroying Shane. Just absolutely taking him out. Because if that doesn't happen at SummerSlam, that's actually going to... That may be a tipping point. The tipping point for WWE. And even more fans may tune out in the fall. Because it's going to prove that they aren't going to listen to the fans even a little bit. Now, so that's what really needs to happen. Shane needs to be removed from TV. Permanently. I mean, you want to go a year or two, fine. But it's just, he's been all over TV from his return to now. And it's been almost 3.5 years. Actually, it's been about 3.5 years. End it. Because there are so many other people that they could push that they aren't pushing or they're utilizing horribly. Now to finish up. What they could do is rotate time off here and there. If they don't have stuff for people, keep them off TV, give them a gimmick change, this kind of stuff, use them on live events, that, okay. TV, they're going to need to come up with feuds that they keep for TV, and then some feuds that they build for pay-per-view. Make it worth tuning into TV for, and see, well, wait a second. I need to tune in every single week to see where this feud goes, but, oh, this feud's going to advance to pay-per-view. I need to see where this goes. And that's not to say that some feuds, you know, it's like, oh, this feud's not good enough to be on pay-per-view. I don't really care about it. No, you have to make both products or both things worth tuning in for. Yes, WWE has a network. They need heels, they need baby faces, they need this kind of stuff. They need people that the fans want to boo and people they want to see, you know, the people they want to cheer to see beat these heels up and everything. It's simple booking 101. The thing is the McMahon family presence on TV is hurting and has been hurting many more people than it's been helping. And that's a big problem. And that's something they need to fix. If they don't fix it, it's going to cause a whole lot of damage. Possibly, you know, stuff that's not repairable. And I don't want to see that happen. I'm not being cynical with this. The TV product at times is a chore to get through. A lot of the reason I watch it is because, you know, I'm still a wrestling fan. I'm always going to be a wrestling fan. Even if it's bad wrestling. Not Heroes of Wrestling 99, that was shit wrestling. If you haven't seen that, trust me, you watch that, oh good God, that's terrible. I would do a 20-year reflection on that. I cannot stomach that pay-per-view again. I can't. I can stomach a lot, but oh God. It's on YouTube probably, Heroes of Wrestling 1999, look it up. It might be grainy video, but trust me, you'll see what I mean. Oh boy. But anyway, I still watch it because I'm a fan of so many of the talents. There's so many good people that they have employed. So many people are so good in the ring. Maybe they're not good people outside the ring. I mean, that's arguable. Nobody's perfect. Except Asuka. She's pretty close. Asuka, I'm sure, has got her... I love Asuka. Asuka, Kairi, and the Iconics are better on SmackDown. And I'm putting all of them in there. And I got another thing where I'm going to actually talk about... Maybe I'm probably going to do a rant at some point about women's, you know, the women's wrestling on TV. Maybe how fans need to give it more of a chance, myself included. But to finish up this whole thing, because I'm kind of running out of wind here, and I mean, I've kind of gone as far as I can. I love what WWE can do because I see so much potential with it. And it adds a lot of views to the channel. I mean, I probably could get the views on a you know, slow week. are still about 300 views between Raw and SmackDown, which is pretty good for a little channel that's produced either on my phone or at the Derb's house. It's just two best friends producing, a wrestling YouTube channel, wrestling fan YouTube channel. So I thank you guys for that, for the great views. I really do appreciate it. But that's part of the reason. Also, I've survived so many years, shit years in WWE, they're not going to beat me. I'm not going to let them beat me. And I'm going to keep repeating that because at some point I might believe it. But also, I don't want to give up because wrestling hasn't given up on me. Even when it seems like sometimes. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this rant. Leave your comments. Let me know what you thought. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you soon.